All right, think about the last time that you were around a woman that you were really attracted to, the kind that, made your brain have that little jolt. Now ask yourself, did you show up and act the same way with her that you do with your buddies or women you're not attracted to? Did you have the same energy, the same volume, the same overall vibe, or did something shift? Maybe you got more careful, polite, safe. Maybe you started monitoring what you said. She's quiet, you get serious. She's in a bad mood, so you start asking her what's wrong. She gives you a look after you tease her, and suddenly you're backtracking like, I'm kidding, I didn't mean it like that. You're not just changing your behavior, you're matching her energy, reacting to her mood, operating in her reality. Here's the problem. That shift that you think is subtle, she feels it instantly. And the moment she feels you adjusting to her, you've lost the frame. You just went from being the main character of your own life to becoming a supporting actor in hers. In this video, I'm gonna break down exactly what this shift looks like, why it kills attraction before you even know it's happening, and how to stop handing over your power the second she walks into a room. Because the guys that women actually chase, they don't shift, they don't adjust, they don't accommodate. They stay in their reality and she enters it. Hi, I'm Bobby Rio, and in this video, we're gonna talk about the power of not reacting, why it's so attractive to women, how you can do it, and I'm gonna give you 5 examples of what this looks like in the real world. But first, I'm gonna tell you about this moment that still makes me cringe. I'm at this party in college and I'm playing beer pong with my buddies. We're loud, we're talking shit. I'm completely in my element, really. Like, I'm on fire, making jokes, busting balls, just having a good time. Then this girl, Brooke, comes in. This girl that I had a massive crush on walks in the party. Now, as a side note, remove the word crush from your vocabulary. Whenever you refer to a girl as your crush, you're subconsciously telling yourself that you're never gonna get her. Plus, you don't wanna be a grown man using the word crush. But anyway, back then, she was basically a crush, right? And she comes in, and it's like someone flipped a switch. Suddenly, I'm hyper aware of everything, how loud I'm being, whether that joke I just made was like too much, if I look like an idiot. My friends say something funny, and instead of just laughing, I'm like performing. I'm making sure my laugh is the right amount, not too loud, not too obnoxious. And then she joins our group, and I go into full host mode, right? I'm like, oh, hey, you want a drink? You want to play? Here, let me explain the rules. I'm not having fun anymore. I'm managing, I'm accommodating, I'm making sure that she's comfortable. The conversation gets a little serious for a second, and instead of keeping that like fun, playful energy that I had previously had, now I match her and I'm all serious too, and like I need permission to still have fun, right? Well, later that night, my buddy pulls me aside and he goes, dude, you got like so weird when Brooke showed up. And he was right. I did get weird. I went from being like me to being this like weird version of myself trying to win her approval. Here's what I didn't understand then, but I painfully learned. Most men go from operating in their own reality to operating in hers the second they're attracted. The second they feel attraction to a woman, especially when they see her as being a little bit above them, they immediately enter her reality. You're not just seeking her approval. You're not just being nice. You're literally exiting your world and entering hers. And the minute you do this, you're telling her that she has more value. She's more important. And it's really hard for her to be attracted to a guy when she realizes that she's got all the power. But it's more than that, as you'll see. So I had this friend Pete, and with Pete, it was almost visible, right? Like, we called it the PD mask, because the minute a girl walked into the room, it was like he put this mask on and his whole personality just completely changed. Like, hey girls, like, you stop living your life and you start like performing for her attention, adjusting everything to match hers, reacting to her mood, monitoring her comfort level, and she feels it. And it's not about being rude, right? It's not about ignoring her. It's about this question: whose reality is running the interaction? Because in every interaction with a woman, there's a reality battle happening, and whoever stays most grounded in their reality wins. This is actually one of the core principles I break down in my book, The Invisible Game, because most of what's happening in attraction, it's invisible. It's not the words you say or the things you do. It's the energy underneath it. It's the frame, right? I call it the frame that you're operating within. And this shift from entering your reality to moving into hers, that's where most guys lose it before they even start playing. And it's why a lot of times when you thought everything was going well with a woman, when you thought there was attraction, when you saw a future with her, and then she goes cold, and you do the replay and you're doing like the post-game analysis, and you're like, I don't know what I did wrong. I said the right things. I can almost guarantee that you entered her reality and she felt it on a visceral level. So I'm gonna give you a comparison, because I talked about myself and I talked about Pete, but I was at Dan Bilzerian's house. If you don't know him, he's a big Instagram guy. And I was there with a couple other people, and we were there for business, right? So we're in this big conversation about a business deal that we were working on together at the time. And if you know Dan, you know that he always has women stopping by, really attractive women. So a group of girls come in and they're giddy, they're drunk, they were on a bachelorette party, and they were just looking to party, right? And I watched something fascinating happen when these girls walk in. Two of the guys that we were with immediately shift, right? They go into that PD mask mode that I was talking about. Hey girls, you need anything, right? One guy actually stopped mid-sentence. The other guy straightens up, he changes his tone, and within seconds, they're both trying to make the women comfortable, offering them drinks and asking them questions and redirecting all their attention. Dan doesn't even pause, right? He keeps talking about the same business shit that we were already discussing, the same tone, same energy. The women are there, they can hear the conversation we're having, and if they want to join in, fine, but Dan wasn't like gonna stop and change everything because a couple of attractive women walk in. His world didn't change because they entered the room. So what does putting on this PD mask look like in the real world? Well, I'm gonna go over a few examples because most guys don't realize they're doing it, okay? So here's 5 examples, and one is what I call the conversation redirect. So the conversation redirect. All right, so a simple thing to watch, and you can watch yourself, or if you want to kind of get a handle on what this looks like, watch your friends if your friends make this mistake. It's like you're having a conversation and a woman joins you. Do you just immediately end the conversation you were having, or do you acknowledge her politely, but then finish what you were saying to your friend? Most guys stop the story mid-sentence. They turn to her, oh, hey, we were just talking about, and explains everything that she missed. Do you know all about that, right? You just made her the main character, right? That's one of the ways I put it is, she's now, it's like the sidekick, the side characters were like talking and the main character showed up, so the spotlight immediately goes on them, right? You stopped living in your moment to accommodate her entry. The movie was playing and you hit pause because she walked in. The guy who stays in his reality, he keeps telling the story, right? She walked in late, cool, she can catch up later, she can ask questions. The movie doesn't restart because someone joined mid-sentence. You're the star. The spotlight is on you. She's entering your reality. You don't have to leave your reality because she showed up. The message you want to be sending is, my reality is already running. You're welcome to join it. So another example of what I call the PD mask is something I refer to as going into podcast mode. And as I go through these, you really want to be honest if you do this, because self-honesty is the only way you're actually going to change. So what is podcast host mode? Well, maybe you're on a date, and here's where I used to completely kill it. She says something, right? Anything, literally anything. I work in marketing, and I'm like, wow, that's so interesting. What kind of marketing? She mentions that she went to some concert. Oh my God, I love them. I've always wanted to see them. That must have been amazing. She tells me that she's from New Jersey. Jersey? That's so cool. What part of Jersey? My friend lives there. Everything she says, I'm reacting like it's the most fascinating thing that I've ever heard. Like I'm Oprah, or Joe Rogan and she just revealed that, she's starting this awesome charity. Or I'm desperately trying to force like a joke or say something funny. It's like I'm just in my head waiting to get a good one-liner out. I'm doing that thing where podcast hosts react to their guests. That overly enthusiastic, yeah, wow. Tell me more about that. Every answer she gives gets this proportionate level of excitement from me. And the thing is, nothing I'm saying is real, okay? That's the problem with this, is that if a woman is genuinely telling you interesting, exciting things and you're engaged, that's perfectly fine. But she mentions her job and I'm not actually interested in the details of her marketing job, but I'm acting like she just explained the cure for cancer. And she can feel that it's fake. That's the issue, right? She can feel that you're trying too hard. She can feel that you're putting her on this pedestal where everything about her is just fascinating and great and wonderful. I remember one date where I was so deep in this mode where I think she said something petty and about her roommate or something. And I'm like, that's hilarious. Your roommate sounds awesome. And she just looks at me she just gives me this sort of annoyed stare. And I could see it in her face where it's this guy's trying way too hard. And I was almost automatic, right? I wasn't even paying attention to what she was saying. I was the bobblehead doll, just smiling and cheering her on. And the thing is, you're not supposed to be her hype man, right? You're not there to make her feel like the most interesting woman alive. You're just talking like you would with anyone. So you have to talk to her the same way you would talk to anyone. Again, this is about the reality you live in. Just because you're attracted to a woman, you don't exit your reality and beg your way into hers. So another thing is what I call the mood mirror. This one, well, they all killed me, to be honest. I messed it. Back in the day, I was the king of entering a woman's reality, but this one I was guilty of as well, right? She's in a bad mood. Maybe she's quiet or she just seems off. Well, most guys immediately start matching that energy and entering that reality. Are you okay? What's wrong? Did something happen? You go from happy to concerned in 2 seconds. You've made yourself responsible for fixing her emotional state. The guy who stays in his reality stays in his good mood. You seem like you're in a mood. I'm gonna keep having a good time over here. Join me when you're ready. You're not cold, you're not being a dick, you're just not abandoning your reality because she's in a different one. This is huge because what you're really communicating is my emotional state does not depend on yours. And that's attractive because it says I'm grounded, I'm solid. You can lean on me, not the other way around. I'm not gonna lean on you. I'm not gonna force you to keep me stable because I'm an emotional mess without you, or I need your guidance. The next one is number 4, the reality clash. So this is one that took me years to understand. And this is something that I cover in depth in chapter 14 of my Invisible Game book. I give a lot of examples in the book. And it's a chapter that a lot of guys have told me they've read this chapter 3 or 4 times because it really blew their mind. If you haven't read the book yet, again, it's on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description below. But here's an example of what I mean. You're talking to a girl, things seem good, there's a vibe. You make a flirty comment, maybe you touch her arm, something that says, hey, I'm into you. And she pulls back. Please don't, rolls her eye, please don't, or she gives you just that look that you're nice, but energy. And in that moment, most guys, and I was absolutely guilty of this, they just completely collapse. You instantly get sucked into her reality, the reality where she's the prize and you're the guy who just got rejected. You get apologetic, oh, sorry, I didn't mean it, I was just, you backpedal, you explain, you try to make her comfortable again. And internally, you've accepted her frame. Okay, I guess I'm not good enough for her. I misread this. She's out of my league. That reality becomes your reality. But here's what I learned. Reality is malleable. right? Reality is basically perception. It's, I always say in the movie, if you saw Wolf of Wall Street, Matthew McConaughey, it's a fugazi, it's a faguzzi, it's fairy dust, it doesn't exist. Well, that's how reality is. It's not fixed. It's whatever you want it to be. It's not some objective truth. It's just whoever frame is stronger in that moment. Again, I know this is sort of higher level, and that's why if you haven't read The Invisible Game, I really recommend reading it, especially chapter 14. But that's what it is, right? I remember one night I'm out years ago, and I'm out with Rob Judge, and he's with his old business partner, this guy, Zach. And Zach, man, Zach was one of the best guys I've ever seen with women. You know, back in the pickup artist days, like he was a guy where there's videos of him years ago on camera just kissing girls in like 30 seconds. But anyway, we're out one night and he's talking to these two girls at a bar and they're not feeling it, right? Like they're like rolling their eyes, they're turning away from him. At one point, one girl literally refers to him as it to her friend. She goes, "Can you believe it is still talking to us?" It was brutal to watch. So Zach walks back over to me and Rob and I are like, "Dude, those girls clearly aren't into you. Let's go like talk to some other people." And Zach just looks at us, completely relaxed, completely dead serious, and he goes, "Bro, they just haven't met Zach yet." Then he walks right back over to the girls, right? Now, Rob and I are watching, and it's literally like a car crash to us. Like, what is he doing? They just dismissed him. They were calling him it to his face. 15 minutes later, Zach's making out with one of the girls. And I remember thinking, what the fuck just happened? How did that happen? What was this, right? Here's what it was. He refused to accept their reality. They offered him the reality where he was the annoying guy who needed to leave them alone, and he just didn't take it. He stayed in his reality, the one where he's interesting, fun, attractive, worth getting to know. And eventually, they entered that reality. When she says, "Please don't," or gives you that look, she's offering you a reality, her reality. The reality where you're the overeager guy who needs to calm down. But that only becomes reality if you accept it. What if instead you just smirk? Not in a creepy way, not in a "I don't care about your boundaries" way, right? This isn't about that. I want to be very clear. This is not about dismissing a woman's boundaries, but it's more about an internal knowing. She just hasn't met me yet, right? Like you just have this internal smirk, like you just haven't met me yet. You don't apologize, you don't explain it, you don't collapse into her frame, you just stay in yours. Maybe you say, "Fair enough," and then you move on to a different topic. Same energy, same vibe. You don't react, right? You don't say anything. You just smile and keep doing what you were doing. The message is, I'm not shaken by your reaction. My reality is still running. And watch what happens when you do that. Half the time, she'll come back around like the girls did with Zach because you didn't accept her frame. You didn't let her reality become the dominant one. And when you do that, she goes, "Wait a minute. He seems pretty certain that he's the prize. He seems pretty certain that I should be into him. Maybe I'm missing something," right? So when you held it, you held yours. And I remember this girl at a party that I was at once. And I made some comment about her like coming home with me later, playful, flirty. And she goes, "Wow, you don't waste time, do you?" In that tone, you know, like the one, old me, I would have immediately backtracked. "Oh, I'm just kidding. I didn't mean it. I wasn't supposing anything." But instead I just looked at her, I smirked and go, "No, I don't." I didn't apologize, I didn't explain, I just owned the moment. 10 minutes later, she's the one touching my arm because I didn't enter her reality where I was the try-hard guy who needed to apologize. I stayed in mine where I'm a guy who knows what he wants and he doesn't apologize for it. Reality is a negotiation, and whoever's willing to hold their frame wins that negotiation. Now, here's one of the biggest ones. Number 5 is the fix-it spiral. So the fix-it spiral is one that destroyed me for years and has probably destroyed about 80%, maybe even, I'd go as far as to say 90% of the guys who wind up finding me. They find me when they're going through this spiral where you've been dating a girl for a few weeks, maybe a month or two. Things are going good, you're texting regularly, you're seeing each other a couple times a week. Then something shifts. She gets distant, takes longer to reply, her texts get shorter, or she cancels plans. Sorry, something came up, can we reschedule? And immediately you go into fix-it mode. Like your brain starts racing, like, what did I do wrong? Did I say something wrong? Is she losing interest? So you try to close the gap. You text more, you check in more. Hey, haven't heard from you in a bit, everything okay? You suggest more plans. I'm free Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, next, whatever works for you, I'll clear my schedule. You get more accommodating, you get more understanding, you get more available. No worries about canceling. We can hang out whenever you're free. And in your head, you think you're being a good guy, you're being patient, easygoing, understanding, but really, you just entered her reality. The reality where she's pulling away and you're chasing. The reality where she has the power and you're scrambling to keep her interested. And the more you do this, the more she pulls back and the more you chase, the further away she is going to run. Because you're showing her that you can't handle the tension of her pulling back. You needed her to reassure you. You needed to fix the uncertainty. You're operating in her reality instead of your own. So what does this mean? It means operating in a reality where you're a guy with options, with a life, with things going on. The reality where if she's not investing, you're not chasing. And you know what happens half the time when you do this? She comes back because you didn't collapse into her frame. You didn't make her pulling away into this big emergency that needed to be fixed. You just stayed solid, and that's attractive because it says, I'm not dependent on your attention to feel okay about myself. You want in? Great. You want space? Great. But I'm not abandoning my reality to manage yours. Here's why this matters. If she's the star of the movie, she doesn't want to be with the supporting character. She wants to be with the other leading man, with the other star. When you're reacting to her, matching her mood, accommodating her energy, making her the center of everything, you're telling her that you're below her. And no woman wants to be with a man she sees as below her. Like she might say she wants a guy who's accommodating and understanding and always there for her. But what actually attracts her? A guy who has his own shit going on, a guy whose world is so good, so solid, so interesting, that if she joins, great, but if not, he's still living it. That's the invitation. Not, please be with me, I'll do anything, but I'm over here having a good time. You're welcome to join me, right? That, going all the way back to that story I told you where I was playing beer pong and Brooke showed up and I stopped everything I was doing to basically beg her into my reality. I should have just stayed in my reality, having fun, and let her join in instead of abandoning my reality to enter hers. Now, the moment you stop reacting to her, you stop being the guy who needs her validation and you become the guy whose validation she wants to earn, that's the shift. This is the invisible game of attraction. It's not about what you say, it's about the frame you're operating from. Are you inviting her into your world? Or are you begging for access to hers? Women don't chase men who are chasing them. They chase men who are living interesting lives that they want to be a part of. So here's how you know if you're doing this wrong. Ask yourself, when she enters the room, do I stop what I'm doing, change my tone, my energy, my vibe? Do I start monitoring if she's comfortable? Do I match her mood? Do I make her the focus of all my attention? Do I accommodate her reality? If you answered yes to any of these, you're making her the main character. And the main character doesn't chase the supporting actor. She expects the supporting actor to chase her. That's the dynamic that you've now set up. And once it's set, it's really hard to reverse it if you don't know what you're doing, if you're not aware of it. So how do you stop doing this? It's not about being rude. It's not about ignoring her. It's about staying rooted in your reality and inviting her to join it. When she walks in, keep the same energy you had before she arrived. Finish your thoughts before acknowledging her. Let her assimilate to your vibe, not the other way around. Your fun exists with or without her participation. When she's in a bad mood, don't mirror it. Don't try to get her out of it. Just stay in your good mood. Invite her to join you there. When she tests you, don't explain, don't backtrack, hold your frame. The message that you're sending is, I'm already living an interesting life. You're welcome to be a part of it. This is what I mean by operating from the masculine frame. You're not chasing her validation. You're not performing for her approval. You're just being. And if she wants in, she has to come to you. Look, most guys think that the key to attraction is making her feel special or comfortable or accommodating her needs. But what really creates attraction is being so rooted in your own reality that she has to enter yours to get your attention. Stop being a supporting character in your own movie. Stay the main character in yours. Now, if you want to go deeper on this, if you want to understand all the invisible dynamics that are already running, right? They're already creating attraction or losing attraction, right? This is the stuff that's happening underneath the surface of every interaction, and most guys never see it. Well, I wrote a book called The Invisible Game, and it breaks down all these hidden patterns, tests, and power dynamics that determine who women chase and who they ignore. Because once you see the invisible game, women become completely predictable. You'll start recognizing that these moments are happening around you. Where you shift out of your reality, when she's testing your frame, when the power is about to transfer. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So there's a link in the description below. The book is on Amazon, but I'll give you a link below so you can find it easily. And as always, if you found this video helpful, hit like, leave a comment, and make sure to subscribe.